The next morning, and Daenerys wakes up, and as she and William are getting dressed, she seems not as in a bad mood like she was after William had studied about her father, Aerys the Second Targaryen. You all right, Daenerys? She doesn't say anything. She's doing what she's doing. Well, I was just asking because I know that was a painful part of your history. But you do look beautiful when you sleep. I love watching you breathe. She kind of looks at him, doesn't say anything. Well, I meant what I said, and you still kind of remind me of being like a goddess. And she has this smile forming on her face. Did I say anything wrong? So she turns and looks at him. No, William. Um, I liked how you seem to try to cheer me up with the sweet words that you say, and I'm feeling fine. So then I take it that you're okay to right now. I mean, you don't have any bad feelings from what I learned of yesterday. I mean, because if it's too much for we can always quit. She leans forward. No, we're not quitting, and you need to finish your lessons. And they kiss for the longest time. Soon after, though, they go into the dining hall, where Tyrion happens to be now waiting, and he watches it as they sit down. So, feeling in a better mood, I thought I was going to have breakfast all by myself. No, I think things are good. Yes, Tyrion, things are fine. William has a few more studies to go, as he'll be going into the Greyjoy Rebellion now. Oh, yes, when they thought they were going to be the mighty fleet. Well, don't let it go to your head. Um, one service can't outdo the other. So, with that, she doesn't say another word, takes William by the hand after they finished breakfast. And as William looks then at Daenerys and at Tyrion, well, I guess I'm back off to class. All right, then. I guess I will see you later. Glad to see you're in a better mood, Daenerys. Yes, she does look like today is going to be a new day. Yes, it will. Now I think we need to head to class. So, without saying another word, William knows that it's best to just do whatever she says and follows her out of the dining hall. They go past the staircase that leads to the other library and into the genealogical hall of records. As William takes a seat, she hands him a scroll and then informs him of what the next lesson will be. As you know, I've already told Tyrion that you're going to be studying about the Greyjoy Rebellion. It doesn't last as long as Robert I Baratheon's rebellion, but it was worth the effort, and thus they become part of the time era called Game of Thrones. Okay, so is there anything important I need to know about? Or any concerns that might disturb you? No, William. But we are almost done with the lessons, as far as this part goes. So now you need to focus as we finish these up of my genealogical records. Very well then. So with that, William then gets ready to continue on to learn the rest of the genealogical records for the House of Targaryen.
Greyjoy Rebellion. Greyjoy Rebellion, or Greyjoy Rebellion, was an attempt at succession by Theon Greyjoy against the Iron Throne in 289 BC, 9 years before the beginning of A Game of Thrones. Balon tried to break away from the Seven Kingdoms to secure independence for the Iron Islands and restore the old way, lost almost 300 years before during Aegon's conquest. The rebellion was crushed, and Balon was forced to surrender, cementing the hold of King Robert I Baratheon on the Iron Throne. The year is 289 BC. In the beginning, Theon Greyjoy, Lord Reaper of Pike, desired to strengthen the ties of the Iron Islands with the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. But he died in battle at the Manriver near the end of Robert's rebellion. His successor and eldest son, Lord Theon Greyjoy, rejected McClellan's reforms and desired independence from the Ironborn. Over 5 years, Theon constructed a new fleet of 100 war galleys, the Iron Fleet. Since House Greyjoy had remained neutral for most of Robert's rebellion, they did not suffer heavy losses like the other Grey houses. Lord Roderick Harlaw unsuccessfully advised Balon against the rebellion. In 289 AC, 6 years after Robert I Baratheon overthrew House Targaryen, Balon proclaimed himself King of the Iron Islands and led a rebellion against the Iron Throne. He was crowned beneath Naga's rib by the priest Tarly, the thrice crowned, with a driftwood crown. Balon believed that King Robert's rule was still insecure, that he lacked support amongst the nobility and would not be able to muster a host against him. According to George R.R. Martin, quote, he, that is Balon, believed that Robert, as a usurper, might not have the strong support of the other lords the way that a Targaryen king would have. He also thought he could defeat Robert at sea, unquote. Princess Shireen Baratheon. Shireen Baratheon is a member of House Baratheon of Dragonstone and is the daughter and only child of Lord Stannis Baratheon and Lady Selyse Florent. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, she is portrayed by Carrie Ingram. Appearance and character. Shireen is regarded as a sweet child, but she is not considered pretty. She has blue eyes, but inherited her father's square, jutting jaw and her mother's large ears. Grayscale has left half of her left cheek and most of her neck covered in cracked and flaking gray and black skin, which is stony to the touch. When introduced in A Song of Ice and Fire, Shireen is 9 years old. In history, when Shireen was an infant, she suffered from grayscale. The disease almost killed her and left her disfigured. Crescent, Dragonstone's maester, feels that her sadness is a mark of his failure. As the daughter and heir of Stannis, Shireen resides in Dragonstone and is educated by Maester Crescent. She is usually seen in the company of Patchface, their mad fool that she calls Patches, though his raving sometimes frighten her. Shireen has also suffered from nightmares for years. Greyjoy's Rebellion. During Greyjoy's Rebellion, the Iron Men led by Euron, Victorian Greyjoy, cunningly sailed into the harbor at Lannisport and burned the Lannister fleet at anchor. Aeron Greyjoy was captured after the sea battle off Fair Isle, taken to Lannisport in chains, and spent the rest of the war imprisoned in Castle Rock. At the end of the war, celebration of their victory over House Greyjoy, King Robert the First Baratheon ordered a tourney to be held. The city was the site of the tourney at Lannisport of 289 AC, where Lord Jorah Mormont won the hand of Lenys Hightower. Roderick Greyjoy. Roderick was good friends with Sir Horace Hardwicke. During Greyjoy's rebellion, the bronze bell of the Moving Tower at Seaguard was rung for the first time in 300 years. Longship under the command of Roderick Greyjoy attacked Seaguard. Lord Jason Allister killed Roderick beneath the castle walls and threw the Iron Men back into the sea. Aeron Greyjoy. During Greyjoy's rebellion, Aeron joined his brothers Victarion and Euron, raiding the coast. Aeron nearly drowned when Golden Storm was sunk by the ore galley Fury during the sea battle off Fair Isle. When the Ironborn fleet was caught in a trap set by the master of ships, Lord Stannis Baratheon, Aeron was initially believed to be lost at sea, but he watched ashore and was discovered by local fishermen, who led him to Lannisport in chains. Aeron spent the rest of the rebellion as a prisoner of the Lannisters, but he was later returned to the Iron Islands. Aeron spent his time as a captain holding piss contests with lions, boars, and chickens. Arya Stark. Arya, born in 289 AC at Winterfell. Arya is the youngest daughter and third child of Lord Eddard Stark, the head of House Stark, and Warden of the North and Lady Catelyn Tully. Arya has an older sister, Sansa, and older brother, Robb, and two young brothers, Bran and Rickon. She also has an older bastard half-brother, Jon Snow. Greyjoy Rebellion. Seaguard. During Greyjoy's rebellion, the bronze bell of the Looming Tower rang for the first time in 300 years, when longships under the command of Roderick Greyjoy attacked Seaguard, and Lord John Alliser killed Roderick beneath the castle walls and threw the Iron Men back into the sea. King Robert I Baratheon's army sailed from Seaguard and Lannisport to subdue the Iron Islands and end the rebellion. Meryn Greyjoy. Lord Balon Greyjoy rose in rebellion against his new king Robert I, thinking that Robert did not have great support amongst the nobility, and that Balon would be allowed to go his own way. When Robert marshaled his forces and attacked Pike, Meryn was along the walls where the breach was made along the old South Tower. He was slain. Greyjoy's Rebellion. Greyjoy's Rebellion, or the Greyjoy Rebellion, was an attempt at succession by Balon Greyjoy against the Iron Throne in 289 AC. 9 years before the beginning of A Game of Thrones. Balon tried to break away from the Seven Kingdoms to secure independence for the islands and restore the old way, lost almost 300 years before during Aegon's conquest. Rebellion was crushed, and Balon was forced to surrender, cementing the hold of King Robert I Baratheon on the Iron Throne. The year is 289 AC. In the beginnings, Theon Greyjoy, Lord Reaper of Pike, desired to strengthen the ties of the Iron Islands for the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. He died in battle at the Manor near the end of Robert's Rebellion. His successor and eldest son, Lord Theon Greyjoy, rejected Quellen's reforms and desired independence from the Ironborn. Over 5 years, Balon constructed a new fleet of 100 war galleys, an iron fleet. Since House Greyjoy had remained neutral for most of Robert's Rebellion, they did not suffer heavy losses like the other great houses. Lord Roderick Harlaw unsuccessfully advised Balon against rebelling. In 289 AC, 6 years after Robert I Baratheon overthrew House Targaryen, Balon proclaimed himself King of the Iron Islands and led a rebellion against the Iron Throne. He was crowned beneath Naga's ribs by the priest Tarly, the thrice crowned, with a driftwood crown. Balon believed that King Robert's rule was still insecure, that he lacked support amongst the nobility and would not be able to muster a host against him. According to George R.R. Martin, quote, he, that is Balon, believed that Robert, as a usurper, might not have the strong support of the other lords the way that a Targaryen king would have. He also thought he could defeat Robert at sea, unquote. Princess Shireen Baratheon. Shireen Baratheon is a member of House Baratheon of Dragonstone and is the daughter and only child of Lord Stannis Baratheon and Lady Selyse Florent. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, she is portrayed by Carrie Ingram. Appearance and character. Shireen is regarded as a sweet child, but she is not considered pretty. She has blue eyes, but inherited her father's square, jutting jaw and her mother's large ears. Grayscale has left half of her left cheek and most of her neck covered in cracked and flaking gray and black skin, which is stony to the touch. When introduced in A Song of Ice and Fire, Shireen is 9 years old. In history, when Shireen was an infant, she suffered from grayscale. The disease almost killed her and left her disfigured. Creston, Dragonstone's maester, feels that her sadness is a mark of his failure. As the daughter and heir of Stannis, Shireen resides in Dragonstone and is educated by Maester Creston. She is usually seen in the company of Patchface, their mad fool, that she calls Patches, though his raving sometimes frighten her. Shireen has also suffered from nightmares for years. Greyjoy's Rebellion. During Greyjoy's Rebellion, the Iron Men led by Euron, Theon Greyjoy, cunningly sailed into the harbor at Lannisport and burned the Lannister fleet at anchor. Theon Greyjoy was captured after the sea battle on Fair Island, taken to Lannisport in chains, and spent the rest of the war imprisoned in Castle Rock. At the end of the war, in celebration of their victory over House Greyjoy, King Robert I Baratheon ordered a tourney to be held. The city was the site of the tourney, and Lannisport of 289 AC where Lord Jorah Mormont won the hand of Lenys Hightower. Roderick Greyjoy. Roderick was good friends with Sir Horace Harlock. During Greyjoy's rebellion, the bronze bell of the Moving Tower at Seaguard was rung for the first time in 300 years. A longship under the command of Roderick Greyjoy attacked Seaguard. Lord Jason Ballister killed Roderick beneath the castle walls and threw the Iron Men back into the sea. Aaron Greyjoy. During Greyjoy's rebellion, Aaron joined his brothers, Victarion and Euron, raiding the coast. Aaron nearly drowned when Golden Storm was sunk by the war galley Fury during the sea battle off Bear Isle. When the Ironborn fleet was caught in a trap set by the master of ships, Lord Stannis Baratheon. Aaron was initially believed to be lost at sea, but he washed ashore and was discovered by local fishermen, who led him to Lannisport's chambers. Aaron spent the rest of the rebellion as a prisoner of the Lannisters, but he was later returned to the Iron Islands. Aaron spent his time as a captive holding piss contests with lions, boars, and chickens. Arya Stark. Arya, born in 289 AC at Winterfell. Arya is the youngest daughter and third child of Lord Eddard Stark, the head of House Stark, and Warden of the North and Lady Caitlin Tully. Arya has an older sister, Sansa, and older brother, Robb, and two young brothers, Bran and Rickon. He also has an older bastard half-brother, Jon Snow. Greyjoy Rebellion. Seaguard. During Greyjoy's rebellion, the bronze bell of the Moving Tower rang for the first time in 300 years when longships under the command of Roderick Greyjoy attacked Seaguard, and Lord John Alistair killed Roderick beneath the castle walls and threw the Iron Men back into the sea. King Robert I Baratheon's army sailed from Seaguard and Lannisport to subdue the Iron Islands and end the rebellion. Meryn Greyjoy. Lord Balon Greyjoy rose in rebellion against his new king, Robert I, thinking that Robert did not have great support amongst the nobility and that Balon would be allowed to go his own way. When Robert marshaled his forces and attacked Pike, Meryn was along the walls where the breach was made along the old South Tower. He was slain. Back on the Iron Islands, it was heard that the one who had been prearranged for Ashara Greyjoy had finally reached his life's end and had passed on of old age. He had led a good life, though disappointed he never got to spend time with his very, very young wife. But again, Ashara was not one to be married to someone who was so old that probably too much excitement would cause him to have fallen over dead from the affection that she could have given him. In any case, a great ceremony, as is the Ironborn way, is given to him, and he is floated out to sea in much respect. In the meantime, Balon, as he's preparing for his next battle tactics, comes to realize that there's a rumor going around of one who is quite skilled with a bow and arrow. Her name is Oshara. The last thing he wants anyone to think is that he's harboring some fugitive of the, not the small folk, but the wildlings on his island. And since it would be considered that she does show strength as a good leader and warrior, he finally decides to clear that matter up once and for all. And he tells Ashara, from this day forth, you will no longer be known as Ashara. You shall be dubbed Yara Greyjoy, and by his command, as self-proclaimed king of the Seastone Chair, her former name is never mentioned again. And from here on out, in the generations of the Ironborn, she will be known as Yara Greyjoy. In the meantime, as everything has been reviewed before they start out on their next battle tactic, he reviews the results of the Lannisport Sea Guard. Hoping to control the Sunset Sea, Balon began his rebellion with the burning of the Lannister fleet at anchor. A surprise attack on Lannisport in the Westerlands, planned by his brother Euron, and led by another brother, Victarion, Lord Captain of the Iron Fleet. Victarion tossed the first torch onto the flagship of Lord Tywin Lannister. The victory at Lannisport gave King Balon freedom to launch an attack against Seaguard, the Riverlands, by Roderick, his eldest son. Roderick was slain by Lord Jason Mallister during the storming of Seaguard, however, and his reavers were thrown back into Iron Man's Bay in defeat. Jermyn Botley claimed a gilded breastplate from a Lannister captain. The father of Podrick was killed at some point during the war. As they are aboard their ship, a spectacular sight as they prayed to the drowned god occurred, seeing one of the ships of the Three Sisters about to attack them in the middle of the sea. Um, Apparently, the Three Sisters are getting a little too confident in attacking the flagship with Balon. Lo and behold, as if it was a sight to behold, the arms of a kraken comes up, and there are screams of blood and murder by that with many arms. And the Dragonborn start cheering because the gods have seen that they are the ones that rule the sea. So as the kraken breaks the ship in half, eating and devouring the flesh of Robert First Baratheon's men, it is quite the glorious sight. Marvelous indeed. So, as the Greyjoy Rebellion continues, this is what we know thus far. Lord Quellen Greyjoy had desired stronger ties with the Greenlands, forbade most reaving, uh, brought maesters to the Iron Islands, and outlawed the taking of thralls. His son Balon, however, wished to return to the old way, which he considered a better way for the Ironborn. After becoming Lord of the Iron Islands, Balon reversed most of his father's reforms. Over 5 years, he oversaw the construction of the Iron Fleet to serve the Seastone Chair. Balon was quick to seize the chance to revert to the ways of old when he thought that King Robert I of Baratheon's recently gained rule through conquest was unstable. Believing Robert would not have the swords, the men, or the will to resist, Balon launched his own rebellion and declared himself King of the Iron Islands. Once again, while now King Robert I Baratheon is out and about serving also to fight against the Greyjoy Rebellion. Cersei Lannister enjoys time with her brother Jaime Lannister, now dubbed the Kingslayer. And as the incest continues behind Robert I Baratheon's back, Princess Myrcella Baratheon is known to the Seven Kingdoms as the middle child of King Robert Baratheon and Queen Cersei Lannister, a member of House Baratheon of King's Landing. Her siblings are Princes Joffrey and Thomas. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, he is played by Amy Richardson in seasons 1 and 2, and Nell Tigger Free in season 5. So, thus continues the incestuous relations between brother and sister, Cersei and Jaime, known as Kingslayer, and thus she is able to continue her brainwashing of Robert I Baratheon, making him think that this is his daughter. Greyjoy Rebellion. While the incestuous relations are going on between Cersei and Jaime, there is a counterattack finally by the Iron Throne. Robert used superior numbers and resources to crush the rebellion. His brother Stannis Baratheon, Lord of Dragonstone and the Master of Ships, joined the royal fleet with the Red Line fleet from the Arbor and ships from Old Town. They caught and smashed Victarion's iron fleet in the Straits of Fair Isle. The husband of Gwenys Harlaw was killed in this sea battle off Fair Isle. Theon Greyjoy was captured and spent the rest of the war beneath Casterly Rock. Stannis' victory over Victarion near Fair Isle allowed Robert's forces to cross the Green Lands to the Iron Islands. Robert was supported by Eddard Stark, his Warden of the North, and Tywin Lannister, his Warden of the West. Sir Gregor Clegane was part of Tywin's forces. Stannis subdued Great Wick in his brother's name, while Sir Barristan Selmy, Lord Commander of King's Guard, led the attack on Old Wick. Orkmont was also invaded. Bran Stark. Brandon Stark, typically called Bran, is the second son of Lord Eddard Stark and Lady Catelyn Tully. He is one of the major POV characters in the books. He has 4 older siblings: Robb, Jon, Sansa, Arya, and one younger, Rickon. Like his siblings, he is constantly accompanied by his direwolf Summer, with whom he shares a strong warg connection. He is 7 years old at the beginning of A Game of Thrones, a television adaptation Game of Thrones. He is played by Isaac Hampstead Wright. Appearance and character. Bran favors his mother, Catelyn, and his parents, having the thick auburn hair and deep blue eyes of the Tullys. Bran is a sweet and thoughtful boy, well loved by everyone at Winterfell. He has a fascination with climbing and exploring along the walls and ramparts of the castle. Catelyn once jested that Bran could climb before he could walk. However, his climbing often distressed her. Like his siblings, he is also dutiful and tough-minded, but also possesses a propensity for adventure and excitement. He yearns to see far-off places one day and dreams of becoming a knight. His half-brother, Jon Snow, fondly thinks to himself that Bran was always, quote, stubborn and curious, unquote, and in like manner constantly wanted to join the play of the older boys, believing himself an adult at 7. In history, Bran was born at Winterfell in 290 AC, at the height of summer. Bran is the second son and fourth child of Catelyn Tully and Eddard Stark, head of House Stark. He is named after his late uncle, Eddard's elder brother, Brandon, whose death was one of the major events that led to Robert's Rebellion in 282 AC. Bran has 3 older siblings, Robb, Sansa, and Arya, and one younger, Rickon. He also has a bastard half-brother, Jon Snow. As a child, Bran was educated by Maester Luwin and trained with weapons by the Master at Arms, Roderick Castle. A year before Bran's birth, in 289 AC, Eddard brought to Winterfell a hostage, Theon Greyjoy, the last surviving son of Lord Balon Greyjoy. Although Robb and Theon became close, Bran never warmed to him. Counterattack by the Iron Throne. Again, Robert used superior numbers and resources to crush the rebellion. His brother Stannis Baratheon, Lord of Dragonstone and the Master of Ships, joined the royal fleet with the Red Wine Fleet from the arbor and ships from Old Town. They caught and smashed Victarion's iron fleet in the Straits of Fair Isle. The husband of Gwyneth Harlaw was killed in the sea battle of Fair Isle, while Aeron Greyjoy was captured and spent the rest of the war beneath Casterly Rock. Stannis' victory over Victarion near Fair Isle allowed Robert's forces to cross from the Green Lands to the Iron Islands. Robert was supported by Eddard Stark, his warden of the north, and Tywin Lannister, his warden of the west. Sir Gregor Clegane was part of Tywin's forces. Stannis subdued Greatwick in his brother's name, while Sir Barristan Selmy, Lord Commander of the King's Guard, led the attack on Oldwick. Orkmont was also invaded. In history, for the Greyjoy Rebellion, it is now at the point of Pike being under siege. The antiquity is as such. Pike is so old that its original builders and lords are unknown. The castle was once larger and located on the island of Pike, but unstable earth led to some portions of the cliff falling into the sea. The surviving structures are built on stone stacks. Horrid First Thor, king of the Iron Islands, murdered the sons of Bernar II Justin, king of the Trident, at Pike while they were his hostages. The Iron Throne. In the aftermath of Aegon's conquest, Theon Greyjoy, Lord Reaper of Pike, became the new Lord of the Iron Islands, ruling from the seastone chair at Pike. Lord Balon Greyjoy killed Pike's maester after the man failed to heal his brother's Uragon, although Balon then requested another maester from the Citadel, possibly Quaelin. Balon's youngest surviving brother, Aeron, sang grieving songs atop the great keep's tables. During Greyjoy's rebellion, the siege of Pike was the final battle. King Robert I Baratheon, along with Lord Eddard Stark, mustered thousands of men and invaded the island of Pike through Lordsport. They captured the castle after bringing down the southern part of the outer wall of Pike using siege engines. Theon, the last surviving son of Lord Balon, was taken from Pike to Winterfell as a hostage by Lord Stark. Having had 2 sons, Meryn and Roderick, killed in the rebellion and Theon taken away, Balon's wife, Alanis Harlaw, brought 5 boys to Pike as wards. One of them, Christopher Botley was sent to Black Tide after Maester Quaylen found him kissing Lord Balon's daughter, Asha Greyjoy, who is now dubbed Yara Greyjoy. After wandering the halls of Pike in search of her dead sons, Alanis now lives with her brother, Lord Roderick Harlaw, at 10 Towers, which is less raw than Pike. Asha, or that is Yara, has felt more at home at 10 Towers than at Pike. Siege of Pike. The final battle was on the island of Pike, led by Robert and his childhood friend, Eddard. The nearby Botley Castle was destroyed, as well the town of Lordsport beneath it, before the main attack on the castle of Pike was launched. Robert's forces assaulted the southern wall with siege engines, shattering the main watchtower and bringing parts of the surrounding wall down. Meryn Greyjoy, the second of Balon's 3 sons, was killed in the breach. Thoros of Myr was the first through the breach, wielding a sword coated in wildfire, the Red Priest. The fighting in the castle was fierce, but eventually the castle was taken. Lord Jorah Mormont, who was shortly behind Thoros, and Jocelyn Bywater, who lost a hand during the fighting, earned knighthood from Robert for their bravery. Old Nan's grandson was killed during the siege. Balon, brought before Robert in chains, bent the knee and was forced to swear fealty once more to the Iron Throne. His surviving son, the 9-year-old Theon, was given into the care of Lord Stark as a hostage to ensure Balon's good behavior. Jon Arryn, Hand of the King. Jon Arryn, though not much is said, had been given information by Stannis Baratheon regarding who the children of Cersei really are. He decided to start his own investigation secretly, though in theory and conjecture, nothing is actually documented. Perhaps what eventually happens to him would be a result of Cersei catching on that he's getting a little too curious as to how the children are born, and thus becomes his own demise. But that, in time, will come about. For now, his investigation continues as to whether now the 2 children born, Joffrey and the sister of Joffrey, are really Robert's or from incest of one who may be her brother. But until he can get the proof, he does not say anything that could be considered a slight or a form of slander. So he keeps this to himself for the time being. In the meantime, probably everybody's wondering, what is Mystery's third Targaryen and his sister Mary's ongoing Targaryen doing? In this scene, though in theory particularly because nothing in the document about one dubbed as the uncle could actually say them, and thus in theory would explain how they got out to Essos from Westeros during the time of Robert I's rebellion. It is now time of celebration. Viserys III Targaryen has now become a man, based on the Targaryen tradition that when one turns 16, he is a man. He is also the rightful heir to the Iron Throne of Swords for the realm of the kingdom. And so, thus it is a great celebration to celebrate his 16th birthday. And as in known customs, ways, traditions, is his name day. He is presented with a special sword, though it is not Targaryen or even of Valyrian steel. It is one that Uncle Aegon presents to him, having a black handle, and thus becomes the day that he is now considered a man. He teaches Aegon, just briefly, how to hold the sword and to use it, and eventually, after his birthday, will be taught more in swordsmanship. But for now, it is the time of celebration. Daenerys, also being 11 years younger, also goes through her growing period. And so she starts blossoming as a very young lady. Finally, at the time of her brother Viserys III's birthday, for which she is now 12 years of age. Also, Princess Elsa, the cousin to Daenerys and Viserys, who is also the daughter of Sashka, the wife of Uncle Aegon, Sashka Valerian, is also getting up there in age. While it is most likely custom and tradition that Viserys III should marry his sister, Daenerys, Starborn of the House Targaryen, apparently, though Uncle Aegon tries his best to give words of wisdom to Viserys III about how he should act proper to his sister, he tends to find himself as the young prince at odds with his sister because he is one that feels one who waits or procrastinates wastes away. They don't really gain any victories or gain glory for themselves if they do nothing. But for the time being, kind of keeps to himself and knows that one day he'll have to raise an army, and has even sent friends out to seek out ones that would make a good army for him. This, of course, is a mere hint as to when he tries to have the Dothraki, to which he sells his sister to from the other keep that they eventually stay on. But that's a tale for another time. Meanwhile, Princess Elsa Valerian finds Viserys III attractive, though he's not really certain as to who he will marry. She and him had talked about many things. He's into glory and making a name for himself, which does kind of impress Daenerys, because he is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne of Swords. And though Viserys is somewhat of a bully at times, Daenerys still tends to support his cause and his claim to the Iron Throne, as much as a sister and princess would. But at the same time, since Viserys has no interest in Princess Elsa, she wants to do like a great descendant of hers once did, who was married to one known as Emma, I believe it was the last daughter of former King Aegon II, or was it the third? In any case, he was a great explorer and was lost at sea. And she feels that rather than take a ship, why not do exploration on foot, or at least merely by horses? And so this is something that she considers. Unfortunately, that would also mean Daenerys would be left alone with her brother because she also gives choice company of her cousin. But as she grows up, to match the somewhat roundabout ages of Viserys III and Daenerys Targaryen, everything seems to be going well in Essos, and nobody knows the wiser of who Daenerys and Viserys are. And so the day ends with a great celebration. The aftermath of Greyjoy Rebellion. Theon Greyjoy surrendered his two eldest sons, Roderick and Meryn, were killed, and his last surviving son, Theon, was made a ward of House Stark as hostage. Robert I Baratheon's victory cemented his hold on the Iron Throne, having overthrown the Targaryens 6 years before. He threw a great tourney at Lannisport to celebrate his victory. The rebellion resulted in the castle of Pike being severely damaged or partially rebuilt. The faith of the Seven suffered abuse in the Iron Islands at the hands of fanatics who worshipped the drowned god. Baelor Blacktide, Lord of Blacktide, was a child when his father died in the war. As a result, he was taken away to Old Town as a hostage following the end of the rebellion. He returned 8 years later as a follower of the Seven. Again, while the celebration by King Robert I Baratheon at this tourney at Lannisport is being celebrated, Cersei continues her enjoyed company of her brother, Jaime Lannister, known as the Kingslayer, through many comforts and pleasures. And once again, this now bears a third-born child, Tommen Baratheon. Now, Prince Tommen Baratheon is known to the Seven Kingdoms as the youngest child of King Robert I Baratheon and Queen Cersei Lannister, member of House Baratheon of King's Landing. His siblings are Prince Joffrey and Princess Marcella. In a television adaptation of Game of Thrones, he is played by Callum Warren in seasons 1 and 2, and by Dean Charles Chapman in seasons 4, 5, and 6. Appearance and character. Tommen is plump with white blonde hair. He has golden curls and emerald green eyes. Beginning of a Song of Ice and Fire, he is 7 years old. And as a side note, his being plump kind of gradually balances out to being quite the slender, tall young man he is. Tommen, unlike Joffrey, is regarded as a good-hearted lad who always tries his best. Although tender-hearted, Tommen is not as strong-willed as his brother. Many other characters, except his mother, think that he would be a much better king than Joffrey. Tommen is fond of apple cakes and enjoys reading, but is afraid of Sandor Clegane. He is a clumsy dancer, unfortunately. And once again, Cersei is able to continue the brainwashing to Robert I Baratheon that Tommen is his son. Alysanne Bulwer. She was born in 291 AC. At the same time that this birth took place, Rickon Stark is born. Rickon Stark is Eddard and Catelyn's youngest child, only 3 years old when the series begins. Rickon is a naturally aggressive and strong-willed child, but his youth makes it difficult for him to cope with the terrible changes that come to his family and life. He is usually accompanied by his direwolf, Shaggy Dog. In the television adaptation Game of Thrones, Rickon is played by Art Parkinson. Parents and character. Rickon is very young. He has bright eyes and favors his mother in appearance. After his mother travels south, Rickon refused to have his hair cut. As a result, he has long, unruly hair. His youth makes it difficult for him to cope with the terrible changes that are brought upon his life and family by war, which are reflected in his direwolf companion named Shaggy Dog. In history, he was born at Winterfell in 295 AC. Rickon is the third son and fifth child of Caitlin, head of House Stark, and younger brother to Robb Stark, the King of the North. Rickon has two older sisters, Sansa and Arya, another older brother, Bran, and a bastard half-brother, Jon Snow. Barristan Selmy. During Greyjoy's rebellion, Barristan led the attack on Old Wick. He has remained a formidable fighter even in his advanced years, winning the championship of attorney at King's Landing, at the age of 57 now, and unhorsing Sandor Clegane in a tilt in the tourney on Prince Joffrey's name day in 297 AC, and unhorsing men 30 and 40 years his junior in the turning of the Hand in 288 AC. Greyjoy Rebellion's aftermath. As stated before, Balon Greyjoy surrendered his two eldest sons. Roderick and Meryn were killed, and his last surviving son, Theon, was made a ward of House Stark as hostage. Robert I Baratheon's victory cemented his hold on the Iron Throne, having overthrown the Targaryens 6 years before. He threw a great tourney at Lannisport to celebrate his victory. The rebellion resulted in the castle of Pike being severely damaged and partially rebuilt. Phaethon VII suffered abuse in the Iron Islands at the hands of fanatics who worshipped the Drowned God. Baelor Blacktide, Lord of Blacktide, was a child when his father died in the war. As a result, he was taken away to Old Town as a hostage following the end of the rebellion. He returned 8 years later as a follower of the Seven. Quotes. Balon says to Robert, "You may take my head, but you cannot name me traitor. No Greyjoy ever swore fealty to a Baratheon." Robert then says, "Swear one now or lose that stubborn head of yours." By Balon Greyjoy and Robert I Baratheon. Robert should have scoured the Isles after Balon Greyjoy rose against him. He smashed their fleet, burned their towns, and broke their castles, but when he had them on their knees, he let them up again. He should have made another island of their skulls. Thoughts of Cersei Lannister. So in this case then, this is now the official end and conclusion of the Greyjoy Rebellion that ended in the year of 295 AC. So now, about roughly 296 AC, the Greyjoy Rebellion will be officially declared over. Now the war is somewhat consecutively over, although it's not officially declared until the following year, with no longer occurrences or incidents. Robert Baratheon, as usual, goes back to his infamous, if you want to call it customer traditions of sleeping around, which to some points would be somewhat justice because Cersei is also sleeping with her brother Jaime, who is known as the Kingslayer. This, of course, in turn, leads to two unnamed twins. Peter Baelish hints that Robert fathered twins to a surviving woman at Casterly Rock, who were killed by Queen Cersei's agents. Note, the mother gets revenge, however, on those who killed her twins. Though with theory and conjecture, she most likely took the handheld axe and was quite easily able to get past the armor and split their head open. As to whether she was executed for this or not is uncertain, but because at a point in time where the bastards were being killed, and she was merely defending her children, then they can't really hold her accountable if also an order to kill children is coming up again. So she most likely, in turn, is ordered to become a septa for the faith of the Seven. Thus, as he continues his many pleasures, there are bastards by the threes of the meaning that after the twins comes three more bastards, and it turns out that each year 3 bastards are born, and eventually you end up with 5 girls and 4 sons. However, all are killed later during the period of Game of Thrones. Gendry. Now Gendry, as we had mentioned before, is finally born in 296 AC, who is the bastard son of Robert I Baratheon, because of the betting that took place with a cousin of his younger brother, Stannis Baratheon's wife's cousin, Selyse. Theon Greyjoy. And as a result, and by King's order, that Theon Greyjoy is to be in servitude to Ned Stark, Theon refers to Theon Stark, the king in the north, as his namesake. Theon received beatings at Pike from his older brothers, Roderick and Meryn. Theon was a boy of 10 when Greyjoy's rebellion rebellion was crushed and his brothers were killed, making him the heir of House Greyjoy and the Iron Islands. Theon was taken from his father, Lord Theon Greyjoy, as a hostage and ward by Lord Eddard Stark and has been raised at Winterfell for 9 years since. Considered to be in fosterage, Theon was raised with the Stark children and tutored with them in all disciplines, including instructions from Maester Luwin and training at arms from Sir Roderick Castle. His relationship with the Starks is respectful, and he has come to consider Robb a close friend and younger brother. Although they trained together, Theon ignored the sullen Jon Snow, Lord Eddard's bastard son, and another outsider in the family. However, though he claims to Catelyn Stark that Lord Eddard was like a second father to him, and although Eddard indeed attempted to be like a father to him from time to time, Theon still thought Eddard to be cold. As a child, Theon used to think that Eddard might marry him to his eldest daughter Sansa and claim him for a son. Theon and Robb trained with wooden swords on the steps of Winterfell. Together with Jon Snow, were trained at arms by Sir Roderick Castle. He played in the castle's Godswood and participated in melee during tourneys. 296 AC, Theon traveled with Lord Eddard to Torhen Square, where he spent a fortnight with Benfred Talhart, whom Theon teased for his large neck. Theon has slept with numerous women, including Kyra, Bessa of the Wintertown, and a miller's wife along the Acorn Water. He lost his virginity in Winterfell's God's Wood. Back in Essos, Princess Elsa Valerian, daughter to Sashka Valerian and Uncle Aegon, to Daenerys Targaryen and Viserys III, upon her 18th birthday, finally decides that she needs to get out and see the world. And because she is of that age, she has Valerian escorts, as is the Valerian custom, and the Uncle Aegon does not put up a fuss about this and feels that as long as she has escorts, and because it won't have anything lead back to Daenerys and Viserys' existence, because she also knows not to say anything about their being still alive, they talk for a while, and she departs to do her exploration of the world that she's in. She, in theory, would have been 2 years older than that of Viserys III, who had a manhood of 16. So at 18, she finally travels off, and Viserys III, Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen, Sashka Valerian, and Daenerys and Viserys' uncle, Uncle Aegon Targaryen, see her off.